Hey, what's going on? Welcome along to episode 73 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. Mark Tanner.
Hello, everybody.
I say as always, right? But Mark, obviously, the last episode you did by yourself, I was just thinking that I was doing the intro. I was like, you didn't do the intro. You just kind of jumped straight in.
No, I
It's
didn't,
like,
did I? I just went
you know,
straight in. I'm sorry. Yeah,
uh,
I'm still a bit of a novice, obviously, when it comes to this.
that's
But,
that's what I was
but
about to say.
welcome back anyway. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, mate. It's good to be back. And mate, what an amazing episode of a podcast. I know you said, yeah, I'll do one, and I was like, all right. I know it could be tough. It's just that thing. And you mentioned on there, and it's the same thing as like I said to you before. So many times I kind of hit record, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what should I say now? And stuff like that. But
yeah,
the way you did it really kind of flow through, and that the topic of being intentional. I think we'll pick that up a bit today, and obviously keep working on that kind of thread there of like, yeah, okay, look, I know what to do, so why don't I do it, kind of thing, and
yeah.
pushing that along. But a little story first. I was just
Mm.
because you mentioned something on that podcast episode, and then I saw something in some news that just like teamed up with that. So you towards the end of it, you just said, look, get help with whatever it is that you're trying to do. Get some help, right? It doesn't have to be with us, go with whatever kind of thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we want you to be with us, like, of course we
Of
do.
course. Yeah, yeah.
But but even if you don't, obviously, yeah, look, getting help makes sense, right? And there's a story. So NFL football, right? I follow that, like the American football stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a quarterback. So the quarterback is like probably like the biggest like position, that's like the main kind of person.
Mm.
And there's a guy who he came into the league a few years back. He was meant to be like a promising kind of player and stuff like that. He got a couple of injuries and he's kind of gone down the pecking order, right? So he's
Right.
probably still like within the top 100 in the world, if you think about it that way, right? But he's not kind of classed as a starter or being anywhere near and stuff like that. And I was reading this story that basically he's started working with a private quarterback coach, right? So even though he's on a team, he's got all the kind of the best facilities, the best kind of people around him, and all that kind of stuff. He's actually gone. He's taken that step to get a coach. And I can remember so many stories about like coaches and stuff like that. I remember there was a story with Anthony Hopkins, like the Hannibal actor and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So an actor on the up and coming was talking to him, and he was on about, I'm thinking about getting an acting coach. You wouldn't need a coach or something like that, would you? And he said, no. He said, I have 9. And he said, I have one for languages, one for posture, one for this, one for that, and one for nutrition, all this kind of stuff. And it was like coaching is such a big thing that people overlook, right? And this
yeah.
quarterback, so he's gone with this quarterback coach, and it was running through the thread about, okay, they're working on this, they're working on that, but this quarterback coach is actually working with the top quarterback at the minute, who people reckon will be one of the greatest of all times. And it's like that to me, it was just like, wow. It's like, fair enough, you've got the one person who is like, right, okay, I need to get better, I need to improve because I want to get back to what I'm doing. Like, he's probably got enough money now to not even play again, but he's going, I want
Yeah.
to be a starter, I want to leave a legacy and stuff like that. But how much more is it that you've got the person who is the best, they want to stay the best.
Yeah, yeah,
They've got a private coach in the off season where they're working on stuff, and it's just like, and also, I mean, this is where coaching really comes into it as well. I mean, I'll let you give your thoughts on all that in just a minute, but this is where
yeah.
coaching really comes into it. I was reading this part where it said this guy's Trey Lance. He plays for the San Francisco 49ers. The coach is trying to get him to do a certain drill, and he's not getting it. So
Right.
he's
Okay.
right. Okay, we got the guy who's like one of the best, Patrick Mahomes. Is like, watch him how he does it, and he then throws it and does it and stuff like that. And the guy's like, I get it now. And then he's now doing exactly the same thing. And it's like, look, isn't that what we talk about? Like, look, why waste all this time trying to figure stuff out yourself, trying to do stuff yourself?
Yeah,
Someone's been
yeah,
there, they've done it before. You can watch them, you can learn from them, you can actually see what you
yeah.
need to do. Someone can point you in that right direction.
Yeah, and that is incredible, and I know, and it's interesting to say that because I knew a running coach, a marathon running coach, and he'd obviously run loads of marathons. He wasn't well known enough to be like an international runner, as in in Olympics and the World Cup, but he ran loads and loads of marathons, and he was always in that top. I think 15 who finished. So he was, you're talking about New York Marathon, London Marathon, all around the world, and he would travel around the world to race them. And so he was to be in the top 15 consecutively. He still had to be pretty good. He might not have been the top, that top one, but he was still, he kept up with the Ethiopians and all those kind of people. He was up there. He's an English guy. I'm saying he's still alive. And he was a marathon coach. He cut down his niche so big. And his niche was for people who want to shave a tenth of a second off their marathon times. And you think, oh, yeah, no way, no way. He had loads of people come to him.
Yeah.
The people who were finishing 20 to 25, who wanted to be in the top 10 as he was getting, that was his people. They were the best. And even I think he did have somebody in one Olympic run at one point who knew of him and knew that there wasn't anybody who could just somehow show him the little tweaks about how to just shave that little time off. And he was coaching him as well. And as you said, it's the best that come. It's the best. It always seems to be the best people who appreciate that they need that coaching just to get them that extra little bit, and because they always want to be at the best of their game until they decide that, right, okay, I'm going to retire and retire at the top, because that's what most of those people did. They didn't run and then become slower and slower as they grow older. They got to the stage where this is my goal. It's like we were talking one of our podcasts as well, but with the having something with the end in mind. The end in mind was, I want this. When I get there, I'm happy. I'm going to say thanks. That's great. I'm going to retire from this scene. I'll still carry on running, but I'm not going to be running on a competitive basis. And yeah, and talking about your NFL quarterbacks, it's the same thing. It's the top people who always are looking for a coach to bring them more, and they realize that they're not going to find it themselves. And it seems like a weird thing to kind of to admit to, but they know that if they could have found it themselves, they'd already be there. And the fact they're not there, they know there's something that's not quite right, and somebody might be able to just tweak a little, turn a screw a little bit here, tweak a little bit there, and all of a sudden, bang, they're doing it.
That's massive, isn't it? That like what you said, it is like someone is aware enough, and I guess confident enough in themselves to say, I need a bit of help.
Yeah,
because you get a lot of people who well, I can't ask anyone for help because I'm meant to be the best.
Yeah.
So how can I need help and stuff like that? How I'm meant to show these people that I'm levels above. So what is it? But actually, like you said, it's fine tuning. I think that stuff there to me is like massive. Like you were saying about the marathon runners there about shaving a tenth of a second or whatever kind of thing off their time, and there will be those kind of people, like you said, is coming back to that intentional. Is that these are people who look, they're putting the work in, they're doing what they need to do. They just want to improve it. They just want it to work a bit better. They want to do that. And we were talking earlier and stuff like that, and we were talking about people who people have come to us. And it's that kind of thing, I've got this, I've got that. I just don't know how to connect the dots. So how do how do I make this work better? How can I do that? And then there are other people who like, right, okay, how do I do everything? Because I haven't really taken any steps to kind of get going. Don't get me wrong, we help people from that kind of position kind of thing and move forward and stuff like that. But there are people who are out there like that marathon coach. There were people who go to the marathon coach and they basically want the marathon coach to run the marathon for them, right? They don't actually they don't want to work on just getting a bit better. They want someone to do it for them. And it's like, we can't always do that.
No, that's right. And going back to this guy, now I'm sure this is the same with maybe the NFL guy as well. But I know the marathon coach, sometimes it was not about running. It absolutely had nothing to do about running. So this guy would, he's in the top 20 maybe, and he wanted to shave this tenth of a second, and this coach would say to him, okay, so you're running, how are you running? He'd watch him run for a while and even enter a marathon with him just to see how he's running. He said, right, okay, running style's perfect. What are you eating? And I'm like, well, I do the pasta thing and all the rest of it. So yeah, but outside of that race preparation, what are you eating in the end other time? And it could have been something completely unrelated. This guy, this person, not necessarily a guy, it could be a lady as well, who hadn't thought of. Oh, I didn't realize that was going to make a difference. And he said, it was. He talked to one
That's
person. Now I remember him telling me, he talked to one person about the length of his hair. And he got to stage. This guy had really flowing locks, marathon runner. Now it seems a lot of people, but he just liked that hairstyle. But he said, yeah, that's not. It's not efficient. It's not.
yeah.
If you really want to hit the efficiency, cut your hair. I mean, not. I can stand on your hair, lad, from the army kind of thing. I can stand on your hair from here. So cut your hair if you really, really want that. Get it right back, real shortcut, because it really does make a difference. And I think it was one of the Olympic swimmers, wasn't it, who shaved his head every day and was bald because he knew it would make such a difference in the pool. And you think, okay, then people say, oh, I'm not going to do that. So, well, that's because you're not dedicated enough to be there. But if that person wants to really shave that little bit of time off, they'll do anything. They're in the stage where they're at the top, but they want to be one
Mm.
step better. So instead of finishing, say, number 15, they want to finish number 14 or number 13. How can I make it? And that's the tweaks they'll put in.
That part there, mate. I mean, that thing that it's not a case of you need to be number one, right?
No,
It's just
no,
that you just want to be getting into the top 100. You want to be getting into the top 10.
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
finish the race. Like
yeah,
whatever it is like everyone is different, and
yeah,
I think that is the thing we talk about, like the Instagram lifestyle and all the success that
yeah.
is out there and stuff like that. You have to be doing this, otherwise you're not successful. Look, success is different to everyone.
Of
Whatever
course, yeah.
success is to you, but it's just taking those intentional steps forward to doing it. You talk about like coaches and stuff like that. I can remember reading a book from a guy who was Michael Jordan's coach. So Michael Jordan, like, he was the best basketball player anyway, and he employed
Mm,
this guy as a coach to make him better, kind of thing.
mm,
And
yeah, yeah,
just worked with him. And I can remember reading it where he said that if Michael Jordan had a good game, or like if he had a bad game, his first thing was, right, okay, let's go past the last 24 hours. What did you eat? Did you drink? Did you smoke?
yeah,
Everything done. Did you have
yeah,
sex? Like
yeah,
all this kind of stuff where it was just
yeah,
like, because he wanted to improve him so much, where he's just like, I want him in the best condition, that when he gets on that court, that
yeah,
nothing has stopped him from,
yeah,
preparing for this, 100%. And it is, to me, these stories are like fascinating, because I always kind of look at them and bring them into that kind of business and marketing and environment world and stuff like that, and kind of go in, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, that kind of quarterback thing, even for myself now, it's like, right, okay, I was talking to you, I was watching a webinar on scaling systems and stuff like that for like software, and it was like, the reason I'm doing that is to just get that knowledge bit on, okay, look,
together
is
become
there
better. Yeah,
something that I don't know about
yeah,
software scaling,
that's totally,
in
totally.
that kind of marketing approach? And it's like, anything I can do to improve myself, just to sharpen skills and stuff like that. And I can remember listening to one of our podcasts, and I was saying, yeah, I'll still watch like a social media course, or I'll watch something else, because to me, it's like, the champion boxer, they can throw a jab, they know how to throw a jab, but they still practice it each day
Yeah,
to
yeah,
keep them
exactly.
fine-tuned, to keep them in that best condition. And it's the same thing
Yes,
with the kind of marketing, with the business, with the sales, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's
and I think that's that's the whole crux of it, isn't it? Is about being intentional and going back to bringing it back to business, because obviously that's what we're talking about. Even if you're starting in business and you're starting out completely, you think, right, I've had enough. I've left my job, or I've been made redundant, or something has happened, and you think, I'm going to start a business. I mean, you've got to the stage you think, right, okay, I know what I can do. I'm thinking about this, so we're not going into the whole development, although we help people with that as well. But it's okay. They've got a business. They're going to start, right. What do they need to do? And the first thing is, right, be intentional. I mean, it really sounds be intentional. If you want to start your business, how many people are you going to talk to this week about it? And from that possibly get a sale, but you won't get a sale immediately. It's unlikely you're going to. So how are you going to start building your list of contacts that you've spoken to and that might be interested in? And how many are you going to speak to? One person a day, or three people a day, or five people a day? But make a goal so that you say, okay, at the end of the month, I know I've spoken to say the end of the month, I have wanted to speak to 20 people who and start to foster an interest in what I do. Now, you're not is that's not sales, but that is marketing. And this is where the whole I've never understood where people talk about sales and marketing, because I said to you earlier, marketing comes first. You can't sell anything unless you market yourself. So nobody is a customer, but there are hundreds of people, millions of people that are prospects. So you've got to market to um, call it what you will, prospects or suspects or whatever. But you've got to market you or services or whatever to this to a certain amount of people, and that momentum will build slowly. So once you've spoken to those 20 people, you don't lose touch with them. You don't just say, "Well, I'm going to speak to 20 more," which yes, fine, but you've got to keep in touch with those 20 you've spoken to as well. So you're nurturing the 20 you've spoken to, and now you're then saying, right, okay, I now need to speak to another 20 people, and you build, and it doesn't take long. If you're doing that on a monthly basis, you will make sales, and you will start building your business. But there's just so many people that we know. We've been to so many network events, and we were talking about this earlier. So many people say, "Yeah, I want to grow. I want to grow 30% this year. Or I want to grow 50. Yeah, I'm gonna double my turnover. Yeah, whatever." And you say, "Okay, right." And then 3 months, and you say, "So where?" Well, even a month in on the accountability calls that we've done, you say, "Well, where are you now?" Well, this came up and that came up and didn't do it, and you think, yeah, but you're playing at it, aren't you? I mean,
Mm.
ultimately, what is the this is the thing I'm writing at the moment, and it's such an interesting. What is the most important thing in business for any business for anyone? And you'll probably get lots of answers to that, but it's getting and keeping customers.
100%.
Because if you don't get customers in the first place and then keep them, but if you're not working every day for getting and keeping customers, you don't have a bit. There's no business. There is no business. And if you get customers and then don't worry about keeping them, eventually those customers are going to go off to someone else who does it. So again, it's not just getting the customers, but keeping them interested, and you get more and you keep what you have existing. If you do those two things, you'll grow a massive business.
That thing there, mate. I mean, I can remember a couple of years back. I can remember seeing a post on Facebook in a Facebook group or something like that for business, and someone put that. What's the most important thing,
Mm.
right? When starting out a business, and look, there are lots of important things, of course there are, right? So
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah,
talking about, you have to set up a company, or you have
yeah.
to
Of course.
register this, an accountant, and all this kind of stuff. And then they got into the people talking about a logo, and go get your letterheads, go get your contract, all this kind of stuff, right? And I can remember I just put there, get customers, you
Yeah,
know. And for me, I remember some people agreed, some people didn't agree and stuff like that. And I'm just like, look, as much as there are other things which are important, like
of
for
course. Yeah.
one, you have to make sure that the business is viable, right? What's the
Mm.
point
Yeah.
in going down the road or spending thousands setting up a company and stuff like that without getting a customer, and then realizing you can't get the customers, or isn't cost effective enough to get the customers to actually do what you want to do and stuff like that. But for me, forget about starting a business. I think probably most businesses, I mean, it makes sense. Like any business that I would talk with on a professional level, that they will be lacking in lead generation, getting customers, the right kind of customers, growing, their kind of marketing and sales systems and stuff like that. Because that's why they're speaking with me. So I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, most people I speak with would do this, but I think most businesses out there, they see that as the last part of their business.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's the thing that gets the focus last.
Yeah.
They will spend their time doing this, they're doing that, and they do all this kind of stuff to then go, oh, I haven't got time for marketing now. And before they know it, a month has gone by and they haven't marketed their business, and then they go,
Yeah.
we haven't got any customers, and stuff like this, or that doesn't work, or that this isn't working over there, and you're like, because you weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And
And
it's like
that's you've got to prioritize that. I mean, the whole thing. I know we talked about intentions before. Um, the whole thing in business is the most important thing. Is got to be your number one job in the business. I'm not saying you have to do it first before anything else, but at some point during the day, you're going to spend you're going to focus some time on doing your daily, doing that creating that daily intention of contacting a certain number of people and talking to them. And that doesn't always mean just emailing them. It can do. It depends on your process. But emailing is a lead up, isn't it? Emailing and stuff is a lead up, but to a conversation. You need a conversation. Very few people will buy. That's not strictly true, I guess. Not many people will buy from an email. There's a lot that will, but normally it involves at least a phone call.
Or like you said, a build up. I think that the point
a build up, yeah.
I think the point you're making there again is it's like that there's a lead up. You know, no one really buys from a cold email and stuff like that.
No, that's right.
Unless it's a low ticket, you know, kind of item where they go, okay, I don't really care. But the whole point there is like that thing like you're saying with the emails is you're doing that kind of several touches of sales, right? You said it before, right? The fortune is in the follow-ups.
Yeah,
it's that thing there because if especially where we are now, post-pandemic, we're still in that point now where people are still giving a lot of consideration to approaches.
Yeah.
So that again, like we talk about us being intentional with marketing and stuff like that. Well, we have to get the customer intentional, and we don't really do that anymore with just like one email, you know, or one conversation, and that point there of going, okay, we get them on a call. Yes, there are ways where we can, you know, we could do things like a webinar or something like that. You know, we can get them on a webinar. But the point that you're making is, that there has to be that mechanism. We have to move them from one place to another place before they sell. And it's like that is what I think a lot of people miss in marketing. So they will do that kind of front end marketing of like social media or stuff like that. They will miss that mechanism.
Yeah.
And they won't get the customers, and they go, oh, we've been marketing, but we don't get any customers.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not marketing, you're just putting sales messages out there. You're just broadcasting that you can offer such and such.
And this is the whole strategic funnel we talk about, isn't it? That the SAS system is that you start off you start off with nurturing, but there's a process that leads to a sale. But that was my point. You're right. It won't come just from one email. It's consistently emailing, consistently sending them stuff that's pertinent to them as well. That's the whole point, isn't it? Not just a general. A lot of people just put out a newsletter once a month. Say, oh, I've emailed all my customers. I sent out a newsletter. And first of all, unless there's an awful lot of boring newsletters that's exactly the same. Now you can spice them up, but often people want to read something that's really relevant to them, not just a generic email. So there's nothing wrong with newsletters, but that can't be what you consider to be getting customers or keeping customers.
I'll give you just quickly on my view on newsletters. Right? I think newsletters are probably one of the most underused weapons, right? And probably the most overused marketing tactic that doesn't work. And what I mean by is exactly what you were saying, right? Is a lot of people just send out a marketing newsletter. I'll create a newsletter and I'll send that out to my audience so they know that I'm still alive. That's basically what it is, right?
Yeah.
You know, they will know that I'm still alive, and if they want to buy from me, they can buy from me. And most people make the newsletter about themselves, right? Now, if you flip that newsletter in a way where that newsletter condenses all the stuff that you've been up to in the week, right? In the month, sorry. So you imagine that you've got your different kind of blogs, you've got your different kind of videos, you've got your different success stories and all this kind of stuff. And then you kind of take the approach of going, do you know what, last month you may have seen on the news that it's talking about a recession or something like that, which means you need to make more money. Do you know what? Here's a video I created 2 years ago on the exact same topic. You know, as we went into the pandemic, you know, talking about making more money. I thought this would be relevant for you now. That day, look, you're being intentional in a way where you're going, what is best for the readers here, rather than going, here's my newsletter, buy my stuff.
No,
and you leading someone to that video, right? And then going, I can see that you watched that video. What did you think? What is it you're working on? Can I help you?
Yeah,
and get you more customers and just send out a newsletter once a month.
Yeah, that's a great way of following up. And that's that's true. But the whole thing starts with that intention, doesn't it? It's got to be intentional. And I'm a great one in believing that. And we, again, like I said at the very, very beginning of this podcast, we said, there's so many people that they talk a good game and don't walk it. Basically, they say, yeah, we're going to do this because it's what people want to hear. Yeah, we're expanding, we're doing really well, and this is going on, that's happening. But actually, how many new, and I suppose that's kind of a benchmark in a way, isn't it? is how many new customers are you pulling in that are getting business from you? And this is what we talk about in the accountability sessions that I do. Is okay. So what marketing activity have you undertaken? How many people have read it? Have you got any more customers from it? Because if it's going out and people aren't reading it, then there's maybe something wrong. You need to speak to people why they're not reading it, find out reasons why they're not reading it. If it's being opened and people aren't are buying from you, or people aren't buying and selling extra from you, again, ask them, maybe ask them why and find out why that's not happening. But there's follow-ups, isn't it? There's all those things. Even when you ask the question why, it's a follow-up. And it could be they think, oh, I did read the email, and yeah, I had it on my list, and stuff got in the way. Oh, I'm glad you phoned, because yeah, that now's the time I can do it. And there's so many people. I remember dealing with somebody about a couple of years ago now, and every time I sent a follow-up email, he'd say, "Thank you ever so much for the follow-up, because I forgot about it. But there, stuff's so busy. Yeah, I'll get onto that this afternoon."
And what again, like that flip side is like someone could just take their attention at that time,
Yeah,
that they just haven't opened the email, or they read it, they meant to do something, but that attention has just taken it. That yeah, okay, look, that they forgot, but actually it could be that their attention was needed on something
yeah,
else. So
yeah,
they're interested, but they're not interested right now.
yeah,
But without you ever coming back, they're never
yeah.
going to you, and then someone else is going to jump in, and it's going to
Exactly.
be.
Yeah,
So,
and
mate, I will give a quick plug, mate, for your sessions, right? So accountability, aspirations, and accountability, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's awesome. So look, anyone listening, you can go onto our website, strategyandconversions.com, that you can join it. It's 147 a month. There's no tie-in. We do 2 sessions a month there. Like Mark said, that we look at what is the plan for the month. What is it you're
yeah.
working on?
What's your
What are
work?
the aspirations? Let's put the plan in place.
Yeah,
How do we measure the month? How do we make sure that we're moving forward? Repeating the same month each month is rubbish, especially if you don't like where you are. And then with the second session, then 2 weeks later, is accountability, is keeping you on track. Have you done that? If not, let's look at what we can do to make that
yeah,
happen. If it's not working, what can we do to tweak it? Maybe it's working better than expected. Okay, where do we go from there? So yeah, just get straight over onto the website to do that. And I want to do that plug just before.
Thank you very much.
Wanted to say about the in the 3x strategy as well. Like you're saying, like with that, is the whole kind of point is you can measure it, right? You know what you're working on, right? So that kind of thing of going, look, why am I doing this here? It's like, okay, does it equal this? So how many people am I speaking with? Okay, I know that I need to speak with X amount of people, because from what I do, they go over to this page, they fill out whatever it is, so many become customers. We can start to measure our marketing there. And talking about being intentional and stuff like that, they said about at the beginning, that's that kind of title of, I know what to do, so why don't I do it?
Yeah.
So many people kind of fall into that trap, right? Even when you tell them that how good it could be, or they tell you how good it could be, and you kind of go, well, why haven't you done it then? I mean, I not in like the accountability group and stuff like that, but just general people that we've spoken with over the years. How many conversations have we had with people? They say, yeah, I'm waiting for this, or I'm waiting for that, or I'm gonna do this when, and all this kind of stuff. And then you kind of fast forward and you speak with them. Oh yeah, I'm still waiting on that. And you're like, you've wasted 2 years of your life.
Yeah.
And 2 years of your business growth, and 2 years of this, and it's like, what have you been doing?
Yeah, exactly. And when I love it sometimes on the accountability calls, when I have people and they say, yeah, and you say, well, when do you think you can do that now? Oh, yeah, I've got this going on. I go, I can probably do this. So this might be on a Monday, for example. They say, I can probably do this Wednesday afternoon. And I'll say, so why can't you do it Tuesday? And yeah, I suppose I could do it Tuesday. Can you do it Tuesday morning? Oh, yeah, I suppose I got some time at 11 o'clock. So is that the earliest you can do it Tuesday morning? Yeah, I think so. Brilliant. Do it Tuesday morning. And that way you become a kind of catalyst that makes them do it more quickly. So all of a sudden you accelerate their progress, instead of, because it's too easy for people to sit back now, well, I've got this going on. Okay, I'll do it next week or whatever. And we've all done it. Don't get me wrong. We're all guilty of it. And you think, well, hang on now, push Paul. Why can't you do it tomorrow at 11 o'clock? What's going on? And its chances are, if it's a phone call, of course they can.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, people, you can squash things in. There's what's I'm trying to think, man. I always get this confused because you've got Parkinson's law and then Murphy's law. I always kind of mess this up. I think it's Parkinson's law that says like whatever kind of time frame you get to do it, you'll take up that whole time frame to do it.
Yeah, so either Parkinson's or Hutchins, I can't remember. But
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'm
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
you'll fill the.
Yeah.
You'll find a way to fill that space. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll feel that space. I think that's what a lot of people do, right? I think it'd be intentional. It's that I don't know what it is. It's that word I said to you, wasn't it? I mentioned before, but you can lead people like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And with people, you can give them everything, and they just don't do it. And it's like they have to want it, and being intentional is actually that sums it all up. It's like you have to be intentional. You have to go and do it because those people who are just like, I want to do this because I've got a bigger vision, I've got a bigger purpose, and all this kind of stuff. I need to get this stuff done now. Look, they're in a rush to do it because they want to move on. Whereas you get the other people then who go in, I'll get around to that because I don't really care, or I haven't really seen any results from it, so it doesn't really matter. I think sometimes it is just going, right, okay, what does that need to do? And how many times, again, like it's from the marketing side of things, you tell people what to do with marketing, and then you speak with them, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I haven't gone. I thought, do you know what? I thought I'd just do what I've been doing. And it's like, but what you've been doing hasn't been working. And we looked at what would be better. We looked at how to do that, and now you have your other things to do, and you know how to do it because we talked about it.
Yeah,
I know we talk about clarity, confidence, and courage and stuff like that, but it's like we've laid everything. All you have to do is do it. All you have to do is start running. All you have to do is start moving forward.
Yeah, and what rings back to me, I remember when you first introduced me to the whole concept of have you been in business 5 years, or have you been repeating the same year 5 years in a row? And you suddenly think, wow, yeah, where was I last year? Oh, I was just about here. And you think, that's not good. That is really not good. So all of a sudden, that phrase, I remember that phrase, it was a while back you mentioned it, one of the network meetings that we went to. And that phrase stuck with me thinking, yeah, I don't want to be repeating this year, which was a really crap year, again next year. So I've got to do something about it.
And you think about that as well. I mean, that is like it's spot on for people in business, right? People in business will understand that. But you think about just people in a job, people who've been in a job for like 40 years or whatever it is, and they hate it. And they get up every day and they go to the job that they hate. And on a Sunday night, they dread in Monday and stuff like that. And you're just like, why just repeat that every year? It's like, you need to continue for a while, of course, right? But, start making plans and stuff like that.
Start changing.
That story, I've been meaning to tell you this story, right? About a month ago, talking to a guy, I'm not going to mention any names or like what it is that they do and stuff like that, but I was talking with this guy and he's talking about a hobby that he has. Right, so this hobby over the past kind of year or so, it kind of started off from a little bit of an interest to doing it like a couple of times a year to then doing it, each month to then doing it 2 or 3 times a month, right?
Right. Okay.
Talking with him, he's in a job, right? A few years yet until he retires. He's in a job and he's just like, I just want to do this all day. And it's like, all right, why don't you start doing, something around it? Well, like what? I'm like, well, look, you could create like an information guide. You could create a bit of like a blog. You could start doing videos and stuff like this. You could start documenting it. You could start putting together like a community of people like you who want to learn this stuff or want to do this stuff. And going through everything, right? This objection with every point. Oh, I can't do that because of this. Or people won't listen to me because of that. I'm not an expert in this. And it's like, you've gone from something that just interested you to now being quite good at it. Being really interested in it and doing it like a couple of times a month, meeting people and stuff like that. You've told me all about it. You've got that knowledge there. It's like if you just don't know how to put the pieces of the jigsaw in place, I can help you with that. You have to want to do it.
Yeah, you've got to want to do it. That's right.
And it's like they come back to that intentional thing. But I would say I was just like, that guy says he can't do that, and then the next day goes off to the job that he hates to sit there for 8 hours and do a week and everything like that to then get that bit of pleasure from whatever kind of hobby and interest that he has then a week later or something, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I know that, if you're passionate about something, you have a hobby or stuff like that, you don't have to make money from it and stuff like that. I'm guilty. I always look at it that way, right? But it's like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you're stuck doing something that you don't like doing
Mm.
and you love doing something else, and there's a way then that you can actually do that as your job.
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, I'm not into like real kind of numbers and stuff like that, but the guy doesn't really need to work. The guy doesn't really need to make any money. Just by making a bit of money
Mm. He
would
can
be
do. He
fine
can
for a lot.
fund what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, why would you not try? Why would you
Yeah.
not,
Exactly.
not even
Yeah.
start to do it? And I like sometimes I just can't get my head around it. Where I think that people talk about a zombie apocalypse, right? I think we live in it now. I think there are these people that just kind of wander around, that just do
Yeah.
the mundane kind of day-to-day stuff. People in their business, people in jobs and stuff like that, and they don't like where they are right now. They don't like what they're doing, and it's just like, you don't have to stay there. Like, just start
No,
to
you can.
move.
There's so many things, aren't there? And going back to what you were saying about that particular person, is that everybody's on a journey. That person's been through a journey, and this is the whole point. Sometimes, especially when it comes to things like in the coaching industry. So if you want to coach something, you only have to be 6 months, well, not even 6 months actually, 3 months ahead of somebody who's actually learning to do it, because you've already got the experience that they need to avoid or change, because you've already been there. That person you were saying who did something they did as a hobby and got really quite good at it, the value that they could give to someone who's on the beginning of that journey. So, oh yeah, I really want to do woodwork, or I really want to maybe crafting pots, or weaving this or whatever. And putting that kind of course, if you like, for want of a better word, together about how to weave a pot from scratch, how where to go. They're going to love it, and so people they're going to be the whole community. You can maybe monetize it at some point, so that you're doing your hobby unpaid in effect, but paid for by all the information you put out there. And well, jobs are good, isn't they? As they say
I
in
mean,
Bristol.
even that, paying for your hobby,
Yeah,
right? So you've got a hobby that you love doing and stuff like that, and it costs you money to do it. It's like, well, look, if you build something around it, it can pay you to do it. You can
yeah,
still go do your job, whatever, but now that money that you earn from your job is actually going
yeah,
into like savings or something like that, or investments. Whereas the stuff that you actually do then,
yeah,
as your side hustle or your business, can actually pay for your hobby. I
yeah.
mean, it's that kind of stuff. But that
Well,
was there, mate. I mean, that really interests me. Where you see a lot of the kind of Instagram gurus and stuff like that, right? And you'll see people and it'd be like they'll be teaching you to set up a membership, right? So it'd be like, oh yeah, we've got this course coming up or something like that, and it's teaching you how to set up your membership. And it's like that person, they made their money in a business that was separate, right? So a different kind of field. They made the money,
yeah,
fair play to them. They sold it, whatever it is, right? They made a lot of money. They then pumped some money into their personal brand, right? So they pumped they spent a good amount of money to be that celebrity. People know about them and everything like that. And then they start teaching people how to do marketing and stuff like that. And you're like, hang on, you made your money in a different field.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
only well known now because you pumped a load of money into what you're doing. You never made money from creating memberships, right? That kind of thing. And it's like, if you ask them a question, well, how do I link this to that? Or how do I make that talk to that? Or what's the best platform? They won't know.
no,
They would just, oh, you should just create a membership site and charge this amount. And, people will come along. Whereas like, okay, there's a lot more going on with that. And that's where like, you don't always need the person who's like the top of the tree. You just need the person on the next branch.
yeah, exactly,
How
yeah,
to get
yeah,
out there,
because it's that learning, isn't it? Just working
And
through
that
that
person would be
learning.
like, yeah, do you know what? This is what I did to equal this. So why
Yeah.
don't you
And one of the just talking about that and brings us back almost to last week's podcast in a way, is you've got to be intentional about learning as well. And
try?
that's one of the last things we said about intentional about taking action on marketing and stuff. But learning, like you said, about the fact that you'll still watch courses on the stuff that you know, just in case you can learn something new, something that's more cutting edge than you already have. And with these, going back to the NFL players, the marathon runners, they always want to learn, because we have to be learning to be better. And I do mean we have to be, not we should be. I think we have to be learning to be better, because especially in business, if you're not learning to be better, someone else is, And because they'll have better products and better systems than you in the future, they're going to overshadow your business. So and especially if you're running a team, you'll need to be learning to be as on the best that you can be. Even if you build a team around you that knows more than you still need to be on the best of your game so that they will see you constantly learning and they'll think, oh, I ought to be doing that as well. And they'll become better at what they do. So, great win-win, you've got a team that's growing as well as you growing. So you're setting an example. And it comes down to, as I said, intentional. You've got to intend to move from A to B. Otherwise, you'll talk about it and you'll always stay at point A.
I reckon we'll wrap things up on that point there, right?
Yeah.
Because that is it, right? You have to be intentional about moving from where you are now to where you want to be.
Yeah.
You said it before, mate, from what you just said there and everything like that. You said it before where you basically said, look, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's no standing still. And that's why we always have to be learning. We always have to be doing. We always have to be moving forward. Otherwise, we will get swallowed up. And that may not be that it's the case of, we're not on our game. It may not be a case that a competitor takes us. It could be an environmental change. I mentioned the pandemic a few times within this podcast, like something like that. Who knows what could be around the corner? You have to safeguard yourself. You have to make those moves now that you can adapt. You can make, whatever kind of move that you need to make. But that there, mate, you have to be intentional about getting from point A to point B. I love that. I think we'll wrap things up there. I'll let you summarize anything as well, mate. But for me, it is that part there. Look, you have to be intentional about moving from one now to where you want to be.
Just that. I think that will do as a great summary.
Yeah, I love it, mate. We'll look at what we do for next time.
Yep. Okay.
We'll catch up then, Mark.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Okay. Cheers.